Hey everyone, RemanX here, and I'm joined with my good friend Mobilegamer and Valley, and we're going to be talking a little bit about consumer confidence. And so we're doing a continuation of the roundtable. You guys will see the other conversations on their channels. Make sure you guys check out the links below and take a look, because we talk a little bit about fun, we talk a little bit about power crap, and then we talk a little bit about consumer confidence, and we're going to start with kind of the events that unfolded. So, Mobile Gamer, tell me a little bit about, was that the worst thing that you think could have happened to a game?
You're talking about the compensation bug? Is that what you're talking about?
Compensation gate, or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, the irony of this is we get an in-game message that says our top technicians looked at whatever, and here we resolved the issue, and here you go. And then by clicking that, it had the most catastrophic. The irony is that it destroyed the game, and the game was offline for 40, or was unrecognizable for 40 minutes. I mean, there's clips of me watching my gold creep up. I went from 400,000 gold in my account to almost 300 million gold in that 40-minute period. My gold is just ticking up. Mm-hmm. This made front page of Game Informer.
Yeah, we have the article right here.
Non-Marvel Strike Force YouTubers picked up this event. I mean, so it definitely made ripples outside of our game into other parts of the media. Typically, when things go wrong here, it's just tied to our community. And here's the thing: every game has bugs, and some of these bugs really drive me crazy. The ones that really drive me the most are the ones where they just don't add or don't think. And frankly, the Nick Fury one with the bits to get Nick Fury costume, they just doesn't add up. They couldn't be bothered to multiply 15 times 900 and to see that does not add up to 16,500. That's the kind of stuff that drives me crazy. It's when it is a completely avoidable oversight. Catastrophic bugs that hit games. I mean, I understand that it's code, right? It could just happen. But when it's just like plain blatant ignorance of them not doing math or looking at it for 5 minutes, that drives me insane when it's something that's completely preventable.
Yeah, and I think that's 100% valid. If you could prevent those things from happening, especially these small ones, and then when the big thing happens, they're probably a little easier to forgive. But Valley, did you have any confidence they were going to be able to fix it in a way that made sense?
Are we talking about the bits or the actual
like gold promo? The compensation gate.
I wasn't sure what they were going to do. I'm glad that they, after the fact, I'm glad that they took the game down. I think what they did was proper. I don't think they could have let, some people have over 1 billion gold in their account and other people haven't logged in yet and claimed that thing and have 0. They had to do what they did. Rolling everything back presented a lot of problems because there were people that did upgrades that still haven't gotten compensated. There are people that opened legit red star orbs. Now there were some that weren't getting added from the account, but there are some people that opened red star orbs that don't have those red star orbs back. They don't have the whatever they got, whatever their rewards were. Some people got like 6 and 7 red star pulls. They don't have those back. There's still some issues for a lot of players, and especially with these purchases. That's I think the biggest offense. People spend real money and they don't have anything to show for it. And I don't know why they're taking so long to give people what they purchased, but I think they did some good things, but there's still a lot of problems out there. I do think the compensation that they gave for this was pretty good.
Yeah, and it was fast.
Missing a couple things, but it is pretty good.
To be fair, it wasn't like we waited 3 weeks for compensation like we normally do. It was relatively quickly.
No, it was the next day, right?
So are you still hearing about people that didn't get their Colleen Wings and Red Star packs that they bought? Because from what I understood, a lot of people everybody I talked to had gotten this within 24 hours, that they were made whole. So they got 500 cores. They got their Colleen Wing packs. They got in the mail. And it was less than 20. So I thought that everybody got it. Are you hearing otherwise?
I'm seeing different reports on Reddit. I'm seeing different reports in chat. Some people in the channel live streams. You know,
Oh, wow.
nobody reaching out to me directly, but I'm seeing chatter here and there that some people are just like, "Hey, I didn't get this." You know, and a lot of it is on Reddit. So you know, because Reddit's kind of anonymous. How much of that is true? How much is not true? So secondhand, I'm hearing that, but nobody firsthand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe that there's probably people that didn't get what's right, and I because I don't think this thing was 100% fixed, but I do believe it was 99% fixed. The general consensus on this bug is that it was the rollback was effective and people were made right. Is my general feeling from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and I mean, and from my perspective, I think that was the only thing that made sense because we had that 3,000 orb issue that's still
That was not fixed. That was not fixed correctly. It never got fixed correctly.
Those guys that got screwed with that.
Or they didn't, or they got extra stuff. I mean, depending on who you talk to, they were left with extra stuff in their accounts. I call that Australia Gate. I know that's not the right word, but Australia Gate never got fixed right. Where I feel like this compensation gate did get fixed quickly. I mean, the game was messed up for 40 minutes, so there was a 40-minute window where people. Granted, it's the wrong 40 minutes. A new character released at server reset. It's the wrong 40 minutes for the game to be sideways.
Yeah.
But from what I've been hearing, I mean, there may be some people that were not made whole, but from my point of view, most people were correctly made whole.
So I mean, I think like this, right? You know, as content creators, we all spend money on the game. You know, a lot of our livelihood is tied into this a little bit, and I think that there's just been a trend where there's been some good things, but it's always overshadowed by some major event, and now we have to lump in, just like what's the future for Marvel Strike Force going to look like? With characters like Silver Surfer and Kestrel, I feel like I don't know that I could justify making investments in my roster the way that I used to if a single character can undo like 9 or 10 different, god tier characters. You take Ultron, Phoenix, Mr. Sinister. What else can you think of that mobile that Kestrel just eliminates?
Well, let's go a step further.
Okay.
Kestrel unwound a lot of major characters. I would say it's very obvious to see how Kestrel unwound characters like Hela, Mr. Sinister, and Phoenix. All of those were top 10 characters, and a single character kind of negated a large percentage of their effectiveness. But let's talk about something different. Let's talk about Heroes for Hire, right? On paper, It looks like it's going to be an amazing team. What happened with Red Skull? They will sell us something to negate the value of Hydra 2.0. So Rem, I know you were somebody that went heavily on Red Skull and Red Skull and 4 minions, and you dumped massive amounts of T4s into them, right?
Yep.
Just for them to be negated, by Black Bolt, for them to be negated by Zemo, just to be negated by other teams over time, right?
Ironheart, when she finally worked correctly.
Ironheart, right? You know what I'm saying? Well, Black Bolt was always there from the start, right? But they added more ways. So what's the point of this Heroes for Hire when I'm pretty sure they're going to sell a solution to that team and negate the usefulness of all the resources put into this? I mean, is that just the way it works? Do we do you build up the Heroes to Hire so that it's good for 3 months and then that's that? I mean, what did we do?
I've always thought that it's probably like Valley. I mean, do you build up your war offense teams over your war defense?
Oh yeah. For me, I prioritize arena, then raids. Once I have those set, that's when I start working on war offense. And then when all my war offense can beat whatever war defense I'm running into, that's when I go to war defense. So this is very low priority team for me. I don't care how good they are.
Yeah.
This is fourth priority for me. There's so many other things I'm building up before Heroes for Hire, and I'm not investing in this team right now.
Yeah, and then that's good. I mean, obviously, I hope everybody is aware of this, but it still doesn't change Kestrel just basically destroying. Like, can you even play Phoenix in RTA? Phoenix is unplayable in RTA because of one character. Mm-hmm. How did that happen? Well,
I mean, to be fair, she's been around for 2 years, and she's been a meta character for 2 years, and I think the fact that Kestrel just destroys so many different metas is scary, and so I think And you asked the question on your channel, Mobile, and I really kind of want to get Valley's take on it because, then we'll finish up with yours. Do we have the confidence that they know what they're doing so that they'll be able to solve the problem and continue to sell us teams that function, and we won't see our entire rosters just diminished with the new release, Valley?
Yeah, I don't have as much of a problem with these teams and the power creep and bad design as I do with bugs and not addressing the bugs and not communicating about that and not doing simple math, not doing some simple testing. I have more of a problem with that. And that's why, I've been pretty salty this past week because this has not changed. This has not gotten better. This is the fourth major incident that I remember. And there may be more that I'm not even remembering, but this is the fourth major incident that we've had. And I don't know what solutions they have in place. They are their own harshest critics. They feel this all the time, but yet it's not in a better place. 2021 actually seems like it's gotten worse as far as the bugs, and that's what my major problem is with Boundless right now. Is that they're not solving that. They're not taking as much pride in their work. They're not solving these little things. They're not paying attention to details. I'm more willing to forgive the power creep and bad design, but the bugs and attention to detail, that's what frustrates me more than anything.
Yeah, that's fair. And Mobile, so you're on that same boat. How many bugs do you think you encountered in the last week?
I just want to be straight up, because I stream every day at server reset. I see everything that goes wrong, and I feel like between the people in chat and just everything going down, I feel like the people watching the stream account for like 80% of the QA department at Scopely, you know what I mean? Like, or the 80% of the bugs that are identified in that hour when the server goes live, right, in chat. I mean, almost always, right? And so I see a lot more of it than most people. On the flip side, the only positive thing I can say that might increase my confidence, which is very low, is that when I go on LinkedIn, I see that they're attempting to hire a lot of people here in, I can't say here in California because I'm in Nevada now, but I would speak for California and Nevada, relatively close proximity. There's, COVID is winding down. There's a lot of availability to vaccines. It seems to me that people are going back to work, and a lot of people that were unable to change jobs now have the opportunity to change jobs. And I know that Scopely wants to hire people. Now, what I'm worried about is that there's a lot of very competent people that were working at Scopely, or FoxNext rather, and they're just going to leave because they're tired of it. Maybe they're losing the good people, or are they purging the bad people and hiring quality people? And I kind of feel like this game is wildly successfully financially, that they should be able to throw money at some of this and get enough bodies to fix these simple problems, because they don't even need smart people to fix these problems that I'm frustrated with. I mean, how hard is it to multiply 900 times 15? You don't need a math. You don't need a math PhD to look at this event and see that it doesn't add up, right? So they need bodies. And the game is, first of all, let's just stipulate this. The game is very successful. Scopely spent a lot of money acquiring the game, and it's making a lot of money. So I think that I've seen this happen in other games like Marvel Future Fight, Marvel Contest of Champions. The game was very successful, and they had obstacles and they fixed them because they had to, because the game was really successful. And I hopefully, Scopely figures it out, right? And if it means gutting some of the FoxNext staff or putting new people in place, I know that a lot of people don't realize this, but Scopely kind of came into FoxNext and let them kind of do their own thing. They didn't really have a lot of influence over the changes of the game. A lot of people say, well, Scopely ruined the game. My perspective, they kind of are very hands-off on this merger. Maybe they need to be more hands-on. I don't know.
And I think that's valid. And I think I do think that they have a window here because, there's another big Marvel property coming out down the road. And I think that they are incentivized to listen, to fix the bugs, and to improve confidence. And I hope they're listening. And I think the feedback that you've given is valid. I mean, I know that I have had to pay to overcome bugs this week, whether it was the app not loading into a raid node, whether it was the wrong feedback on debuffs for the symbiotes, whether it was, you know, an inopportune crash in the middle of a stream of fighting the raid, or whether it was, you know, paying 100 cores to try to attack number one and it was being locked out 10 minutes before the match started, and still charging me 100 cores, even though none of the top 4 spots were attackable. So, I mean, there are a lot of things in this game, and the problem is, you know, we pay to overcome, and or either with time or money to overcome these problems, and I don't think that they honor the player experience enough. You know what? You know, not making. You know, we talked about like the Thor bug. We actually during the town hall yesterday, we had you know, a free-to-play player who started, you know, 4 months ago, and they encountered the Thor bug, and it was the most frustrating thing for them. They literally the reason why they found Twitch and YouTube was because of the fact that they every single time they would throw their hammer, they would crash. And so this is the free team that's given away to players, and it's broken. And so that's kind of not a good look. I don't know. So what do you think they could do to earn confidence back?
Discuss
Well, I mean,
more ways of QA.
Okay.
You know, discuss their plans of QA, making sure, being more transparent when these bugs come out. You know, they're going to have errors in the past. I mean, in the future, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
But you know, if they're more transparent with this and getting ahead of things, I think that will inspire more confidence. But just, you know, reducing the amount of bugs, the frequency, and a lot of it just is like not checking their work. You know, or not doing simple math. It's simple things, not any crazy things. I mean, doing that and being consistent with that for a large amount of time. And I'm not, and when I say large, for me, it's like a couple weeks, a few weeks.
Yeah.
That's it. No bugs, and I'll be happy. That'll inspire my confidence. I don't know what your standards are, but for me, if there's no bugs, no major bugs for a while, or if there are, then communicate.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, I'm not a developer. I don't know what it's like to build a game, but I know that every game has bugs. And some of the stuff I can't wrap my head around, like the day when everything went screwed on the orb compensation, the compensation gate, where the game was just screwed up. Like, I have no you know, capacity to understand what happened. But when I see bugs in the game where I very clearly know they just put the wrong orb in for the multiple man event. You know, for the multiple event, the wrong orb.
They didn't change it from the previous event.
They didn't change the orb. When it's stuff like that, that means that there's nobody at the wheel. There's nobody at the wheel over there. The attention to detail is zero. And you know what? My experience with companies and organizations is sometimes there's a guy at the top. And you know, I worked for this guy where, you know, he was worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but yet every order that went through the company he looked at, and you know, he would call me on a Sunday and said, "You screwed this up." And you know what? His attention to detail was through the roof. And you know what? There was no merchandise going off the back docks because this guy was ruthless with his numbers. Yeah. His attention to detail was very, very strong. And you know what? The big stuff always took care of itself. But when you have nobody looking at the little things, then everything can just unwind. And when I see bugs that I understand that I can know how to fix, or I could have looked at for 5 minutes and say, all you had to do was open it for 5 minutes and do math, or looked at
1 minute.
2 minutes, 1 minute. Just screen the patch before it goes live for 30 minutes, and this stuff would have been noticed. That stuff drives me the most crazy because there's nobody there doing that. And I don't know if it's manpower or, you know, I believe they're all going to be going back to work at some point. I don't know anything about Scopely, but I've talked to other developers, and the general plan is for them to stay home on Mondays and Fridays, but everybody's going to be in the office Tuesday, Tuesday through Thursday. Maybe some of the, you know, at least 3 days a week, midweek, you know, Tuesday through Thursday, they'll be back in the office. Maybe things will get better. And I know hiring can resume and repositioning people inside of Scopely, because, you know, other people work at Scopely. Hopefully they have a talent pool that they can pivot people to work on this game. You know, but these little bugs that this lack of oversight, lack of detail, leads me to think that they have no confidence whatsoever in what they're doing when they're introducing a new team like for Heroes for Hire. How do I know that's going to work? Why would I want to even do anything with that team or anything, right? It's just so weird.
Yeah, and I guess for me, consumer confidence is something that I worked in adjacent for most of my career prior to becoming a content creator. That the idea of consumer confidence is one of the biggest assets that you could bring to a company. And so the idea is, companies can deal in both, real world assets and also goodwill. And the idea that at least the perception is that they're doing right by their consumer base. So I think a large problem with this is when the bugs happen, it's always the ones that impact Scopely's financial bottom line are the ones that they prioritize. And I don't think that it's necessarily wrong, but when it's ones that the player experience are so far down the list of priorities, I think for me, that's when that confidence erodes, and that's when things like fix MSF and save MSF smolder, and they fixate on the problems because largely things just keep happening, and it's just a comedy of errors when they continuously repeat. So for me, I think things have gotten a little bit better. There's a little bit more transparency. They haven't peeled all the layers off. I do like the fact that they had the midweek blog drops that showcase bugs and what they were honestly doing about them, and compensation was turning around a lot quicker. But I mean, think about this. There's still people that haven't been made whole because of multiple man's red star orbs from 2 months ago. So imagine investing in a team like X Factor and not having multiple man's red stars correctly accounted for because you opened them during the window when they were supposedly in the red star orbs. So that would be a diminished confidence, in my opinion. And that's something that it just takes way too long to get it right. Anything else you want to add, Mobile?
No, I think things are going to get better. I actually think the game is so important to Scopely's business plan that they're going to fix it. I just feel like we're going to be a lot of growing pains here in the next 6 months until they get the right people in place to actually have things stabilize.
Yep. And how about for you, Valley?
I feel the same way. I think they can turn this around, at least for me. Just fix some of the very apparent errors. Double check stuff that goes out. Take a couple minutes. Even taking a couple minutes will solve a bunch of the errors. And I totally agree with what Mobile Gamer said. If you fix a lot of the small details, the big details will take care of itself. And I don't think they've done that consistently enough and pay attention to all of the little details that happen in Marvel Strike Force. And I think if they do that, I think the game will be in a good place at that point, and they could start worrying about fixing the game and changing other aspects of the game, like the bottlenecks and things like that, and not just constantly fixing bugs and playing catch up with these bugs.
Yeah, so I mean, make sure you guys check out the other videos. We definitely had an awesome roundtable. Thanks for coming on, guys. So make sure Mobile is going to go over just basically the power creep, and check out Valley's video on the overall fun factor in the game. The links will be below. All right. Remember, I do things that you don't have to, but I really enjoy talking to my friends. Catch you again soon.
Like